If you're struggling with the math in the North Carolina real estate course, this is an excerpt from a tutoring session where we cover property tax calculation, including mill rate and dollars per square feet, acreage to square footage conversion and back, as well as price per acre in square feet, and excise tax. Hope you enjoy. Work on this one for me. What's our first step? Get that assessed value. Is that what you got? 407,250?
Yes.
Yeah.
Next step, find the rate. What rate are we going to use?
Both.
Both of them, because it's
0.9.
inside the city limits. So when it's inside the city limits, we need to add them together. And that's 98 cents per 100, or 0.98% sign. If you plug that in, there's our proper decimal number we need to use. If we take that, we can just leave it in the calculator, multiply it by the 407,250, and there's our annual taxes. The answer choices may not have a decimal, by the way, just to keep it simple. But again, rounding will never be a reason that you get it wrong. They won't give you two answers that are a rounding error apart. They're trying to train you, teach you on real estate, not on math so much. Better? What other math did we do? Let's look at the book. Which one did you say from chapter 3?
It was number 9, and it was also number 12 because it uses, 95 feet
Right.
wide by 175 feet deep. So that was also like different.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me recreate it here, and then I'll switch over. What do we have? We have parcel, not a corner lot, measures 95 feet wide by 175 deep. The deep is going to mean away from the street. So we've got the street. 95 is across the front. The 175 is depth back from the street. It's assessed at $8.50 per front foot for water and sewer lines being put in. How much will the assessment be for this particular property? Well, what's a front foot? What do we mean by front footage?
It's just the property that's along the road.
Yeah, just
or the
that
front of
first
the
one.
like.
You got it. And they might give you the dimensions like they did just then, or they might say the property dimensions are 95 by 175 by 95 by. They always start with the front footage, the roadside, and then go clockwise. So 95 front feet, and what's the rate, for lack of a better word? How many dollars per front feet? $8.50 per. And so therefore, don't really need a circle formula for that one. $8.50 times 95 feet.
So they just added that other just to try to confuse you
Exactly.
which to use.
Because they knew that you would be thinking square feet and acres. So it's all about this. Square feet versus front feet.
That was the easiest one, actually.
Yes.
Oh my God. It was the wording, like you always say, think about the wording.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it.
Right.
Front feet. means just one of the dimensions, the one at the street level, street side. And we'll do 11 while we're at it, since it's right there. We've got a parcel being taxed at a rate of 25 mils. It's a market value of 175. Assessed value is 70% of that. What is the annual tax liability? 25 mil is the rate. 175 is the market value. 70% of that is the assessed value. Step one is to calculate the assessed value. $25 mils becomes what decimal? Tell me in the chat or speak out. It's fine either way.
0.025.
Yeah. And then that decimal times the assessed value gives us our very reasonable looking annual tax bill. But you all knew that.
Okay. I got to pop out.
Okay. Take care. Thanks for joining.
You guys, I hope you appreciate the instructor you've got. He's very good. He's going to help you. You're going to pass. So listen to what he says and do it because he knows what he's talking about. All right. See you guys later.
Take care, John.
Thanks.
What about number 6? Not a math problem, sort of a math problem because it's about math, but it doesn't require a calculation. There could be lots of math problems that don't require a calculation. There it is. According to the Machinery Act in North Carolina, all property must be reassessed for tax purposes. How frequently? How
D.
often?
D.
D, yeah. Did you say D? Every 8 years?
Yes.
It's called octennial reappraisal, right? Every 8 years.
But you may every 4.
Well, yeah, there could be a straight line adjustment every 4. You got that right. And then as far as the tax rate, how often could that change?
Yearly.
Yearly.
Yeah.
And when do we find out what it's going to be for that year? What month?
July.
July. Oh, square footage to acreage. How many square feet are in an acre?
43,560.
There you go. What were you thinking about when you came up with that number? What's your method of remembering?
4 old ladies going
Oh,
35 miles per hour at a 60 mile per hour
it's
rate.
whatever
So,
works. That is what I do. And I still do it because sometimes I want to transpose numbers, but that's okay. 43,560 square feet per acre. 4 little old ladies driving 35 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone. And so let's see if we can find an example. I'll just have to make one up, I think. We've got property that is 170 feet across the front and 230 in depth. That's our lot that we're hoping to list. We're going to list that lot if we can win that seller over. And then with our research, we discover that in that area for lots of that similar zoning and type, dirt, land is being sold at $14,300 per acre. Based on this information, what price could we expect this lot to get? There now it looks like I'm looking at the numbers. That was bothering me. Like I was wandering, looking away into the great beyond. Step 1. What do we need to do? Anytime they mention acres and what they give us is dimensions, we need to convert those dimensions into acres. And how do we do that? Step 1, turn dimensions into what?
You multiply the 170 and the 230.
That's right. Turn those dimensions into the square footage. How many square feet is this lot? It's 39,100 square feet. 170 times 230. So now we know the square footage of the lot. But we did our research on the values, and what we discovered is that the valuations of similar lots are 14,300 per acre. It's not going to help us much if all we know is the square footage. So we need to convert this square footage of the lot into acres of the lot. We know that an acre has 43,560 square feet in it. The other thing on the bottom is the number of acres, and the thing on top is the square footage. So if we plug in this 39,100 square feet and divide it by the number of square feet in an acre, that reveals that the acreage of this lot is 0.897. Let's just call it 0.9. This lot is 0.9 acres. Right? Does that make sense? First of all, we knew how many square feet are in an acre. So when we saw that the square footage of this lot was less than the 43, we knew it was going to be less than an acre. So that was a little side note, self-check. But now we have the amount of acres that this lot is, and we know how many dollars per acre. This lot is not going to get $14,300 because it's not quite an entire acre. So we just need to multiply these two things together. 14,300 times 0.9. Now, I could leave this number in the calculator and not round it, but that might give a little different answer than what you got if you went ahead and rounded to the 0.9. It shouldn't matter for the test because, again, they don't test you on rounding. They won't give you two answers that are a rounding error apart. So based on this information, that's a pretty big difference between 9/10 of an acre and 1 acre, right? If you make a mistake here, that seller's going to wonder where that extra $1,500 went or whatever that is. So it's important. So the expected sale price of this lot based on 14,300 per acre is 12,870. We can do another one. That's kind of scribbled all over the place. Turning this part, again, was that?
I'm still confused.
That's okay. We'll do it again. Turning this part into a circle formula might be helpful. Anytime you see the things multiplied together, that's what's on the bottom. Times so it's the size of the lot. We'll say lot size times the dollars per acre gives you the price of the lot. You might want to write that one down as a circle formula too. So this kind of conversion, they give you dimensions and the price per acre, and they ask you for the price of the lot. It's going to require converting the square feet into acres and then multiplying that amount of acres by the price per acre. But let's do another one. Do you want me to, are we good to erase this and I'll set up another one? This time the lot dimensions are bigger. 500 by 800. And the price per acre is 53,000. I'll let you work your magic. First step. What are we doing first? Yeah. Convert the dimensions of the lot into the square feet of the lot. So that means 800 times 500. And if you guys are a little more comfortable with math, you know 8 times 5 is 40. So it's just a matter of adding extra zeros after that 40. Because there's 4 zeros here. And then there's 40 plus those 4 zeros. There's our 400,000. If that just freaked you out, ignore it. Pretend I didn't say anything. 400,000 square feet. Now we convert 400,000 square feet into acres, number of acres, by dividing it. 43,560. That gives us 9.18, we'll just call it 9.18 acres. That's how big this lot is. It's going to be a pretty good listing. I hope you get it. Well, it's 53,000 per acre times 9.18 acres. Just multiply them together. $486, $540. That's what we expect it to fetch. That's what we think it might sell for. Now, in real life, we're not going to list it for that. We're probably going to list it for a little higher to allow for some negotiating room. Side note, in real life, dirt, you usually can charge more as a commission, maybe 5 or 10%. Could be either. Depends on lots of things. In a little while, probably I think we'll get to it next week. We'll calculate the amount of commission you would have earned. So just for fun, if we are earning 10% commission on this listing and it does indeed sell for $486,540, how much are you and your firm taking away from that closing? I'm okay with that. What's your split with your firm? That's your next question. How much of that 48,000 am I taking home? But yeah, we'll get around to that eventually.
But would I have to split with the firm with 48,000?
Depends on the firm and you and lots of things. So when you interview firms, that'll be one of the things you find out. Some firms, like taking on a provisional broker, they're probably going to give you a lower split. And if you're a single agent, just doing your thing, not on a team, I've seen beginning splits as low as 50% because you're learning along the way. And then they'll give you some sort of an incentive program to kind of get up from there. And every so much of money earned, you'll bump up another few percentage points until it caps you at maybe like 80% or something. That's one way. There's all kinds of ways. Others will just give you a straight 80-20 from the get-go. You get 80% of whatever. So 80% of 48,000, you got a little breathing room all of a sudden. But the trade-off is the higher of a split they give you, the less they'll probably provide to you. They're probably not giving you leads, maybe.
Yeah.
Certainly.
You got to work for it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go into commercial.
Oh, well, that's a whole different animal altogether.
Would I be able to do that as a provisional broker? Like go straight into that?
You can, but you would definitely want to surround yourself with commercial brokers. Don't go to a traditional firm that's mostly residential and try to figure out commercial on your own along the way. And when they only have one commercial person, that person may not even be too keen on helping you out. So you might want to interview with commercial firms. And because I had a provisional student, she took 2 different provisional post classes with me, and she was obviously provisional and straight out of the gates, fresh from getting licensed, 25 years old, powering right into commercial right from the get-go.
Yeah, I want commercial right after it.
All right. Well, you need to have have enough money in your account to pay the bills or keep your job, be able to keep, it's going to take longer to get paid, I guess is what I'm saying. Commercial, you might go some projects over a year or more between getting paid. That's why it's nice to get paid big, because it's infrequent sometimes. And a lot of things, it's a whole different ball game. You have a lot more reasons things fall through. There's just a lot of moving parts. So just do your research. Some people get into the residential, learn the ins and outs of the contract process and the negotiating of a contract, and then kind of ease into the commercial. So that's a pretty natural first way, typical way to get into it. See, how about another? See, we did the conversion. We okay on that? Okay. What else?
Could we do maybe one more mill rate?
Oh, sure. We've got property with a market value of $350,000. Sale price, market value, same thing. An assessed value, they determine, is 80% of the market value. The mill rate, why I started writing the labels on the right. The mill rate is, let's say, 7 mills. How much would be the annual taxes for this property? Step 1, figure out that assessed value. They might even, in the problem, just tell it to you. I'm giving you this extra step because I want you to be prepared, but they could say the tax value or the assessed value of this property is $280,000. Then you don't have to even do that step because they're already giving you what you need. Step 2, determine the rate. I say that because if it's given to you in dollars per 100, you're going to need to figure out city rate or county or both. But in this case, we know it's mills, so determine the rate, 7 mills. Step 3, plug it in. Plug it in and calculate. How do we plug it in? And tax, good old and tax, whatever she looks like. On the top there, the rate is 7 mills on the bottom. And the assessed value is the 280. The 7 mills needs to convert to a decimal. Do not use the percent sign. When we see mills, we know that we don't do that. We're going to divide it by 1,000, which means 0.007. That is our decimal we're going to use for the math. Multiply that by the tax assessed value. And our annual tax burden is $1,960 per year. Does it help to see the steps? Forgot my hot drink this morning.
Just do it a different way in my head. Like, is that okay?
Yes.
Like, I keep saying the steps, but in my mind, I do it. Okay, I just want to make sure.
If you're doing it a way that works every time,
Yeah.
go with it.
Okay.
Sure thing. You don't even maybe need to think through the circle math stuff. If it just makes sense to you that you multiply assessed value times rate, that's good enough. It's just, I like to give lots of different things, and I try to tell people, if the circle math helps you, great. If it doesn't and you're annoyed by it, ignore it and do it your normal linear algebra way that you learned when you were in school. Because some people just think that way. It just works, right? Next. How about this one? property has 2.78 acres. How many square feet is that?
These give me the most trouble with the acre.
Yeah.
I don't know what my brain is not. I don't know, but we're about to find out.
Well, what do we know? We know this. We know the acres, and we also know how many square feet are in an acre. So it's just the same circle formula, if that helps you any. Remember our circle formula that when we knew the square footage, because of the lot dimensions, that goes on top. The 43,560 goes on the bottom, and the number of acres goes on the bottom. Now we're just plugging into different spots on this formula. So we're plugging in this 2.78 instead of the thing up here. So now we're just going to multiply these two things. 2.78 times 43,560. 121,096 square feet. That's how that circle formula helps. When they give you two different things that you're unused to, but you know the formula, then you know if I can just know where on this thing to plug it in, then I know what to do with it. Just for fun, let's do one more of these. Let's say it's 111 acres. 111 acres. How many square feet in 111 acres? Just going to multiply them together. It's going to be a lot. 4,835,160. All right, let's try this one. We've got 6.58 acres. It's sold for 114,650. What was the price per square foot? Completely turned around backwards. step one. If we know the price it's sold for, and we know the acres, but we're asked for the price per square foot, so we need to turn that acreage into square feet. So let's start with that. To turn acreage into square feet, we multiply it by the number of square feet in an acre. Which is 286,624.8. That's how many square feet we're working with. It's sold for 114,650. And we just need to divide that by the square feet. Because it's sold for 100. You could also say it's sold for $114,650 per 6.58 acres. Right? Be a very clunky way of saying that. See if I got that right. $43,560 times the 6.58 acres gave us our 286,624.8 square footage, and then we divide the price it sold for by that square footage to get the 0.4, or 40 cents per square foot. I'm adding new content all the time, so if you have suggestions for other topics you'd like to see here, put them in the comments section below, and I'll add them to the top of the list. To see the other two parts of this tutoring session, click right here.